Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Surefire Social's webinar, Grow Reviews, Reputation, Rankings, and SEO with GeoJuice. My name is Jeff White, and I'm with Surefire, and I am very happy to have with me today Jeff Baker, also joining me in the presentation, of Hinkle Roofing out of Birmingham, Alabama. I've given this presentation before, and it was very well received about how GeoJuice can help your business. And one way to make it better, out of the last presentation was, can we pull in somebody that's a Surefire customer using GeoJuice? And Jeff Baker and the team at Hinkle Roofing are longtime GeoJuice users, so we're adding that to this go round, and I think you'll find it very interesting. So to get us started, a little bit about Surefire Social for anybody out in the audience that's not familiar with us. Thank you for joining us again. But Surefire Social is the first local marketing automation system. And in a nutshell, it means for you as a business never having to worry about wasting money on digital marketing again. We're a one-stop shop for all things digital, and we can help with not only overall lead management, but driving those lead costs down based on how we manage overall digital marketing strategy for our clients, squeeze more conversions out of your website and overall digital footprint, and present measurable metrics. Visibility is a big part of what we do, and bringing it all together. So to get us started, as we get into the topic of GeoJuice, what I'd like to do is just have Jeff Baker start us off and kind of tee up the conversation so that you've got it from another business that's in the home improvement space, and have Jeff describe what led him to not just simply using GeoJuice, but starting really at the beginning, and how they were approaching some challenges in their space. And so with that, Jeff, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jeff, and I'm pleased to be a part of this, and hope to do nothing more than to shed some light on how GeoJuice has really helped to bring our business along to a place that we want it to be. And to do that, I'll have to share a little bit of a backstory. When I started at our company 17 years ago, we were literally using Rolodex cards to track leads. We had mountains and mountains of paper, as a lot of long-standing businesses probably did. But we really saw the need and the benefit in going to the digital world. And so certainly when the internet became what it is and became such an important and crucial nut to try to crack, we obviously wanted to try to be on the leading edge of that as well. And we struggled. We struggled to find our identity and to figure out the best way to go about that. And so our company really was doing things the old school way, and has had to try to adjust on the fly. And so that's a big part of why we want to share the success we've had with this with you guys. And kind of step one in talking with Jeff and preparing for today, the thing we wanted to kind of highlight is just the confusing world that is digital marketing and is internet presence. And we had meetings with marketing professionals and advertisers of every sort that came in, and everybody was peddling a $700 a month idea of how we needed to be playing on Facebook, or how we needed to be at Google, or search engine optimization, just all of the outlets that everybody's had trial and error with. And I think we at some point decided that we did not want to try to be the experts, but that we wanted to try to find the experts at how to do this and how to help amplify our efforts. And so that's very much where we are. On this slide, you can see these are all hot topic words that anybody that's paying attention to their marketing, to their online presence, has to deal with and has to try to sort out. And we've tried, trial and error. We've tried buying keywords, and we've tried, buying a la carte internet advertising items from different advertisers, and it left us at the end of the day feeling more confused than when we started the process. So we would maybe have 5 different groups of professionals helping us penetrate the internet, and to do it in a way that was explainable and trackable. And I think what we decided is that we needed to be good at running our business, and we needed to be good at installing roofs and doing home improvements, and that we needed to get somebody that we could turn this over to that made sense to us, but that we didn't have to dedicate a lot of time beyond just small amount of maintenance every month to make sure that everything's still on track and still online. So the search advertising, the social media, the website management, we tried bringing one of our younger guys that was a project manager in, and giving him a 4-hour window a week to dedicate to blogging and to doing social media posts. And boy, I mean, we made a mess of it. I mean, we just got sidetracked. We weren't consistent enough to make any kind of an impact, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were just broadcasting for the sake of relevance, for the sake of being told that's what we're supposed to do. And so we were disorganized, and our website was not doing what we needed it to do.
And so one of the things that we work on with our clients, and one of the things that we worked on with Hinkle Roofing was talking about search engine optimization, what it is, why it is, and then tools. So, and that brings us to GeoJuice. So Jeff, you want to talk a little bit just about initially what that was like for you and how you're using it?
Sure. GeoJuice was a kind of a refreshing introduction into a platform that we could use to become a player on the online market. So what it is obviously an application that can be used in real time on job sites that really kind of syncs everything up for us. So you can do a picture of a project, you can do the description of the project, and so when we pull up on a job site, we'll take a picture of whatever it is that the homeowners ask us to look at, and we'll take, like everyone, we'll take 10 or 15 or 30 pictures of a job when we go to do our inspection of the job. And since we already have the pictures, we can open up GeoJuice and load a picture that we've already taken in. And we do this on every house before we leave the house. While we're in the driveway, we load the picture into GeoJuice by pressing the camera icon on the button at the bottom left corner, and we make a description about what it is we're working on. And then to post the update, all we do is hit the geolocator pin on the bottom right-hand corner, and Jeff will tell you exactly what happens from there.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, again, start the presentation with Jeff Baker, because, again, he's running a business. He's using GeoJuice in the field. He's much more interesting than I am when it comes to that point. That's what I want the audience to take away. And then let me now get into kind of more of the specifics about what it is, the why it is, and then how it helps Hinkle Roofing and anyone else that's using GeoJuice with their overall online visibility. And search engine optimization, visibility, and strength. And before I dive into that, also let me just let you know, if you have any questions, we're definitely going to take them towards the end of the presentation. Submit your questions now through the GoToMeeting chat window. I've got a team here with me, Steve and Michelle and Sashi, and so they will see your inbound questions, and then we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. All right, so let's dive in. So the question, are you juicing? Are you GeoJuicing? This is going to help you increase your online reviews, your search engine rankings, based on what this tool does. And the first thing to take away about GeoJuice is Jeff was alluding to that it's very simple to use. If on your smartphone you can send a text, if you can take a picture, then you can use GeoJuice. That's how easy it is, because that's all it's doing. And if as a business you're interested in promoting the work that you're doing, and if you want to create links from Google searches to your website, and then put this information on your website through the GeoJuice app, as well as feed it to Facebook and Twitter, all with the push of a couple of buttons, that in a nutshell of what GeoJuice is. And then, it is something that can help you with lead flow based on what it's doing for your search engine visibility. It's a differentiator for you as a business. If your competition is not doing this, meaning using a tool like GeoJuice to create content and to create visibility, and then I put in here collaboration from the standpoint of, yes, it's a tool that Hinkle Roofing is often running with, but when we meet, it's really about collaboration, about my understanding of the Hinkle Roofing business, about partnering with Surefire, putting the right tools in the hands of my client, Hinkle Roofing, and then making sure that I'm conveying to Jeff and the Hinkle Roofing team about why we're using GeoJuice. And it all comes down to, I get Google. I understand what it wants, why it wants it, and then therefore why it's good to GeoJuice. So let's start at the highest level, meaning, what does Google want? And we'll talk more about that as well on another slide. But if we talk about, Google, we live in a Google-centric world. Our businesses are online are based on a Google-centric type of approach because it is the major search engine. 65% of searches are on Google. And also Google, as it evolves in response to people using its search engine, it's becoming more of a mobile-centric world, and we'll touch upon that theme as well throughout the presentation. But if Google has 65% of the searches, which is about 2 trillion searches a year, out of those searches, about 50% are on a mobile device. And then out of those 50% of mobile searches, about 33% are location-based queries, meaning somebody is on their smartphone, they're on their tablet, and they're just simply inputting into Google, I'd like to find a roofer near me, or I'd like to find a roofer in Birmingham, Alabama. So what that means to Google is that local searches on mobile are growing at a very fast rate, 50% faster than any other type of search. And so just running through these high-level stats, you kind of get the picture of what we're talking about and why it's important to Google to understand, to help feed their customers, people searching on Google, high-quality links to businesses that are in that mobile searcher's vicinity. And we're to a point where Google is not saying that being mobile-friendly is important. We're to a point where Google is now penalizing websites that are not mobile-friendly. So if you cannot access a website on a mobile device because it's an older website and it just is not mobile responsive or mobile-friendly, Google's not going to serve your website in search results. That's where we are today, and that's the takeaway from this slide. The other thing to understand is that your online presence is much more than your website. You have a digital footprint. Whether you know it or not, your business has a digital footprint, and it's comprised of not only your website, but also your social sites, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then business information accuracy. We call this directory listings as part of our overall service, and it essentially means that the name, address, and phone number of your business or NAP information associated with your business is correct across the entire World Wide Web. And this is a major signal that Google looks for in terms of a local business and deciding the quality of that business based on how accurate your business information is online. And then as we round out this digital footprint that is much more than your website, it's the activity associated with each element of your footprint. So your website not only needs to be solid, it needs to be up to date, it needs to be fast, it needs to be growing. Your social sites need to be linked to your website. Your social sites need to be showing activity, a growing set of followers, content being posted frequently. And then again, your business information accuracy. Changes happen, information gets added to websites. You need to be vigilant with looking for any inaccuracies and correcting them as soon as you can. So it brings us to GeoJuice, as a tool which can help with that overall cultivation of your digital footprint. And this screenshot shows that it's, once you download it to your smartphone, it's an app like any other app you may have on your smartphone. You can also use it via your desktop. And with GeoJuice, you are creating hyper-local content that Google absolutely loves. And I'll show you a specific example of that later on in this presentation. And the idea of doing check-ins, as Jeff described, just brief descriptions of projects that you're involved with, photos that are visually describing those projects. The more updates that you do, the more geojuicing you do, the more juicing that you do, the more indexed content will be picked up by Google and other search engines, which will result in more rankings and increased web visibility. Final point of recency, frequency, and proximity is, let me just kind of step through each of those, what they are and why they are, because this is an important theme to understand when it comes to cultivating your digital footprint. But recency refers to how recent has my website been updated. And then frequency, as it says, how frequently am I updating it? So yes, you can launch a brand new website and it can be a bunch of content, and that's a good thing. But if you're only adding new content every so often, that's not as good as adding content in a frequent manner. And then the proximity deals with location-based information associated with your content. So are you, as a business, physically near somebody searching on Google for a service that you provide? And then if your business is in a physical location, what about your service area? You're not necessarily physically in that 50-mile radius boundary, but you serve that area. So how do you create geotagged content that feeds to Google and says, yeah, I definitely do work 20, 30, 50 miles from my physical location in that radius. So it's that proximity information that we want to feed Google as well, and GeoJuice helps with that. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to step through some slides that just step you through what it looks like, and we'll go. I'll take it a little bit slower of how a check-in is created. But once you have the app installed on your phone, once you're ready to create a check-in, this is what you see. And 3 simple things to do. The first thing is to describe what you're working on. And then you've got the camera icon if you want to either take a picture of what you're describing, or if you have a picture on your phone, you can select it. And then the map pin on the right-hand side of this red bar is the final step. Click it, and you're going to publish that GeoJuice check-in to your website. And so it's simply point and shoot. You're showing off your work. You're demonstrating that you're in the neighborhood, and you're creating that hyper-local, absolutely tasty content for Google to crawl. And so what does it look like once it's posted to the site? This is the Hinkle Roofing website. Excuse me. And it starts with this heat map. And the heat map is a visual representation of that recency, frequency, and proximity that I mentioned. So the redder the mark on the heat map, the more recent, the darker the spot on the map, the older it is. And then it's also mixed in with reviews. So again, GeoJuice not only creates GeoJuice check-ins, but it also is a tool to help you generate reviews, and we'll get to that. But what we've got here, moving to the right-hand side of the slide, is an actual check-in and what it looks like. So right underneath that map, this check-in says that Tommy from Hinkle Roofing created a check-in about window replacement, and he happened to be in Pelham, Alabama when he did that. And that's a simple GeoJuice check-in and what it looks like once it's posted to your site. And here's another one where it's a bit more close-up shot of this. And so 23 hours ago, Gordon from Hinkle Roofing created a check-in, and he described it by typing, checking for leaks in a clay tile roof. And then right underneath that is the geographic information that was automatically picked up based on the check-in being done from Gordon's smartphone. So all that's automated and publishes automatically. and becomes geotagged content on your website. And each check-in is the equivalent of a brand new page on your website. And again, important from the standpoint of recency, frequency, and proximity, where this app allows you to do this quite easily. And so once that check-in, has had a chance to not only publish to the website, Google's had a chance to come to the website and index it. This is what it looks like once it's within Google's index. Somebody's searching for clay tile roofs in that vicinity. A link is created, and I've highlighted here where that check-in description is picked up and becomes part of that Google search result. And I've also indicated it's lower on page 1, but this is Google page 1 link that's created through that GeoJuice check-in. The other benefit of GeoJuice, going back to that importance of cultivating your digital footprint, is what that previous slide showed was creating brand new content through GeoJuice that posts to your website. GeoJuice will also automatically post the content to your Facebook page, to your Twitter page, and this is a screenshot of that check-in then appearing on the Hinkle Roofing Facebook page. And all this also harkens back to that other theme that I said is very important about today's presentation, which is that we are in a mobile-centric type of world today. So that check-in that's on the website but now gets fed to Facebook. How are most people consuming information on Facebook? By their mobile device. How easy was it to create the content and get it to a Facebook audience? It's all automated, after a few clicks through the GeoJuice app. And also within Facebook is a great place and way to show off the work that you are doing in your neighborhood and throughout your entire service area. And again, an easy way to cultivate your digital footprint. So, let me turn it back to Jeff and let's get a little more detail about how Hinkle Roofing is using GeoJuice. And I was frankly just really impressed because I do a lot of training. I talk to my clients a lot on our regular meetings about how they're doing it. And so I started by just creating a profile of Hinkle Roofing and just taking the past 30 days to paint the picture of what Hinkle Roofing is doing. But on the next slide, Jeff is going to walk you through a really detailed and impressive process that the Hinkle Roofing team takes with GeoJuice, but to give you an idea of how active they are. There's at least 7 people on the Hinkle Roofing team using GeoJuice. And in the past 30 days, over 230 check-ins. Remember recency, frequency? They're very recent and they're very frequent when it comes to GeoJuice. So amongst those 7 different people using GeoJuice, it's that they're between them doing about 30 check-ins a month, or at least once a day. And then they're getting review requests out, which again I'll get to later on in this presentation. And then the way they use it is spot on in terms of achieving that goal of recency, frequency, and proximity. So with that, Jeff, if I could pull you back in, and if you could go ahead and dive into how you guys are using GeoJuice, across your projects.
Sure, that's no problem. And what we really did is once we kind of had a grasp of what the software was and what we were trying to accomplish across the board, we really embraced it, and so we made it a part of our culture. In our staff meetings following signing up and committing to GeoJuice, we really made it part of our routine, part of our protocol to use this, to use it often, to use it as well as we can, and to consistently monitor and improve on what we're doing. And so what we came up with just through what felt natural to us was that once we received a lead for whatever it is, a roof, gutters, siding, windows, whatever, and our estimator is assigned the lead, he goes out to the home, does his estimate, his inspection, his walkthrough with the homeowner, takes all the pictures that he's going to take and makes his notes. And when he gets back to his vehicle, before he leaves the driveway, he's going to go through his pictures, and we have we have kind of a protocol where we want to be selective with what picture we're putting on. So we'll select a photo that meets our criteria, and we'll go ahead and write a description on it. And through trial and error, we've come to find out that obviously we want to do the things that trigger keywords in search browsers, and we want to write our description in a way that makes that post the most beneficial that it can possibly be. So he'll go ahead before he even leaves the house upon inspection, before we even have the business, and we'll make a post, and like the one you saw a couple slides ago where Gordon was checking for leaks in a tile roof. We'll even try and go into deeper detail than that. We'll say things like inspecting for leaks around a chimney. We'll be proposing to do a chimney flashing system replacement. And if we're using a specific brand product, we'll call out that brand. If we're using a specific gauge of metal, we'll call out that gauge of metal. If we're using a popular color, we'll go ahead and call that out also, because all of those things could be words that a potential client of ours or somebody that's online looking at this content, that would be something that they may even input into a browser that would prompt our web page. So that's kind of step one, is on inspection. What we decided was, because we didn't know who was watching our internet traffic, we decided that we wanted the picture to be not to be super duper obvious. So in other words, we're not taking full house photos from the front yard, from the road view, just because we didn't know who was looking, and at this point this is not our client, this is just somebody that's asked for an estimate. So our initial pictures are typically close up, or shot from the backyard, or shot from on top of the roof, where we'll grab a picture of the problem close up. That way when we go to post it, whether we're posting it leaving the driveway, or we're posting it at the parking lot, waiting on the next appointment, we're posting it close to the job, but we're not so obvious with our post that somebody could become upset with the fact that their house was used, or a competitor could be tracking our movements. I know it's hyper paranoid, but that's what we decided, and so that's photo number one. Step two, we'll typically, once we have a quote on in somebody's hands, we'll typically make a second or third trip back to the house with samples to review the proposal, to talk financing arrangements, to meet with a spouse that wasn't at initial appointment, for whatever reason. So we'll typically have a second or third touch before we have a contract. And on the second touch, we'll take a picture of the sample board propped up against the siding, or if we tack sample shingles on the roof, we'll take a picture of that, and we'll GeoJuice about it. We'll go ahead and make a post. It gives you, it kind of starts a timeline. It also is a mental reminder for us of what we were doing out there. But again, it's about activity, and frequency. So we'll put the second post up, and once we come back to pick up a contract, or to make pre-job inspection or anything like that, you see the pattern coming. Every time we're at the house, we're planning on taking pictures, and we're planning on posting those and writing descriptions about them. And then, of course, kind of the bread and butter, the interesting post for the casual observer, are the project pictures. So once we've started a project, we'll get a picture of damaged decking or damaged rafters, or whatever it is that we uncover. We'll go ahead and post about that. It's a great post to make, because you may have the DIYer out there saying, how do I replace a damaged piece of decking on my roof? And so it's prompting words and search cues that may be a little off topic and different than what you would usually think, but just by posting what it is that we're doing, we're covering all across the spectrum of what people could be looking at online, looking for online, and hopefully finding their way back to us. I mean, maybe somebody searches something that's got to do with installing, and we've got a post on it. Maybe that's just reviewing stuff online. They decide I better leave this to a professional, which most homeowners will for roofing issues. And so we want our wording and our traffic to drive these searches, to drive people to us as an option to make a call on. So we will take, if it's a fast job, a single day job, we may only have 1 or 2 pictures, but we will post and write descriptions on those. If it's a long-term job, a slate roof, a metal roof, or a larger commercial roof, that takes 4 or 5 weeks to complete the work, we'll have as many GeoJuice posts as we can remember to put on. And so, while every visit to the house during the course of a project may not yield a GeoJuice post, there is some forgetfulness when you're running material or checking on, potential items or making sure the contract is satisfied, that you'll forget on one trip to take a picture or you'll forget to make a post. But it is okay, during this process to dig back through old pictures that you've taken from the house during the first visit and go ahead and post about that. I mean, the visit to the home or to the job site itself should be the reminder to be geojuicing. And so to really embrace this, we have this great tool and we want to use it to the fullest of its abilities. And so we want to invest what is required of us to make this a successful tool, to make this a successful result for us. And that is by using this and engaging with the app and being vigilant and disciplined to make sure that this is a part of the process. I mean, it takes maybe 20 seconds before you leave the job to go on to the next run to make this post. And if you forget during the day, I mean, it's not a failure. There have been days where I'll arrive at my house, which is at the northern corner of our service area, and I'll load 4 GeoJuice from my house in the evening time to get that thermal reading to show my territory. So when people look at the geography and places we've served and reviews we've had, I want them to see that we have coverage. And so it's about being disciplined with it. It's about even if you've forgotten to post one, to come up with a way to go ahead and get it on there. It doesn't take any time while you're actually working on site to do this. And if you get away from the place and you've got 10 minutes waiting on somebody else, you can catch up on the 2 or 3 that you had from that morning. One of the other tips that we do with our guys, I mean, keep in mind this is 7 guys. We're asking them to do 3 or 4 a day. We were doing so many posts that we ended up putting a cap on how many we wanted to make it to Facebook, so we didn't, beat down our followers with 100 Hinkle posts. But we do want to instill that into our guys that it's important. And so if they're hitting 3 a day at 7 people, 20 posts a day, five days a week in a work week. I mean, it's conceivable to have 100 posts if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that really kind of segues into the section of asking for reviews and what all that brings up. But I would just encourage you, if you have the program or if you're looking at the program, if you're timid around this or if you feel like it's too much to ask, I'll tell you, it's really not too much to incorporate this into your daily routine. It becomes second nature. And it's even something to kind of to compare stuff with. We'll have colleagues of ours that'll call and say, "Hey, I didn't realize you had a call on a standing seam metal roof today," and they will have seen it on in posting their GeoJuice though and reviewing our work for the day. And so it helps us kind of stay together and communicating, even in-house, which was an unintended side effect. But all that to say, you really have to just invest into doing this right, to being disciplined with this, and to making this routine.
Thanks, Jeff. And so a couple of points before we turn to the topic of GeoJuice and how it's used for reviews. First of all, I just wanted to kind of again show what it does for Hinkle Roofing, and again, it's not what it does, but it's about the overall cultivation of that digital footprint. And in this screenshot is meant to demonstrate, at that higher level, Jeff had mentioned, he's geojuicing with a broad spectrum of descriptions of what they're doing, but at a higher, more generic roofer, Birmingham, Alabama, Hinkle Roofing is solidly in place in the local listings where I've got highlighted the spot number 1 within it's called the 3-pack or the local listings, as well as down below on page 1 of Google with a traditional organic link. And again, it's important about broad versus long tail keywords, where broad, again, as an example, roofer is a broad term, but a long tail keyword is what Jeff described as just being really descriptive across various aspects of the service that you provide. And if you do that, your overall organic traffic is going to go up, and that's been the case for Hinkle from a year-over-year standpoint. And another important fact I'll share with you is that Google says that 15% of the searches input into its search engine are net new. So there is constantly new types of searches, descriptive searches, and we don't have enough time to get into it today, but when we talk about the evolution of search and we talk about voice search and how that's becoming more important today, the idea of being set up properly, understanding Google, understanding of how things are evolving online, to be in the right position with the right tools so that you're able to meet how the online world is changing. But let's go back to the basics. So what does Google want? Simple question, and it's really simple in terms of what Google wants, and it's to provide quality search results for its customers. And so what do we mean by quality? It's just that when that link is returned, it's a business that provides the service that's associated with the search. But we can help Google by doing things like what GeoJuice does, so that you're creating geotagged content. So if somebody is searching for a particular service or a particular type of roof or a particular color of shingle, and it's geotagged in the area where that searcher, where that mobile searcher is, and that content is mobile friendly, and it's complemented with reviews associated with your content, that's helping Google, and that's what we mean when you're cultivating your digital footprint. I've mentioned earlier in the presentation, okay, what exactly is Google doing with this so-called tasty content that it absolutely loves? And that's what this screenshot is meant to demonstrate. So Google has a tool which allows the people who manage websites to talk to Google in a way. In other words, it's a diagnostic tool. So this is one of the reports that it provides, and this is a screenshot of one of the check-ins that one of my other clients, Nuss Construction, has done, and this is just the GeoJuice check-in about a new CertainTeed GAF roof in Haddonfield today. Looks great with the check-in. And then I also have highlighted the geotagged information that's associated with that check-in. All things that Google is seeing, that's all data that Google is picking up and pulling into its index and helping it to understand that this is geographically appropriate content for anybody in the Haddonfield, New Jersey area searching for anything that pertains to CertainTeed GAF roof. So let's transition now to how GeoJuice can help you generate reviews. So in a nutshell, GeoJuice does two things. We talked about the check-in side of the GeoJuice functionality. Now we'll talk about the review side of GeoJuice functionality. And upon doing a check-in, with just another few clicks, you can push a review request to your customers. And what I have here on screen is just a report that presents the review requests that have been sent. And what I have highlighted here is Dustin A. on the Hinkle Roofing team pushed a review request to a client named Margaret Cleveland, date and timestamp, and push that review request to the customer via her email address. You could also push a review request to somebody's smartphone via text, and what GeoJuice will tell you, or what it will monitor and track, is that the customer received it and the customer clicked on that review request. and they click through to a third-party review site, Google in this case. And if we go out to the Hinkle Roofing Google listing, we can see Margaret, in fact, did leave a review for Hinkle Roofing on its Google page, and completed that loop. So again, it's one of those things, as Jeff was describing, their process is they're completing a project. The question then becomes, is this a customer we would like to send a review request? And if that's the case, GeoJuice is a tool in which you can do that. And also going back to the idea of cultivating a digital footprint, the aspect or element of third-party reviews, reviews left on Google, reviews left on Facebook, on Yelp, on Houzz, but other sites that are review related, is very important to having a strong digital footprint, and GeoJuice helps you do that. So just widening out that report, GeoJuice can present that review request, and people can do a couple of different things as far as leaving a review. Just like I showed you, someone went out to Google and left a review, but they could also simply just reply to the review request because they can leave a GeoJuice-based review. And that's what I've also highlighted here. So the stars and the text are just like a check-in publishes back to the Hinkle Roofing website. The reviews do the same. And kind of in the order of importance, getting a review left on Google is the gold star standard. Facebook and Yelp are also very important, but if that review comes back as a GeoJuice-based review and ends up on your website, that's also valuable from the standpoint that it's wrapped in, I'll go ahead and use the technical term, but schema, which is a wrapper around certain types of content, in this case review content, that helps Google find that type of review content. It picks it up and then does things like this. So when everything comes together, another example of a check-in on the left where Jim K from Hinkle Roofing created a check-in about storm damaged roof needs replacing. He was picked up and geotagged in Jacksonville, Alabama. And then if on the right-hand side of this screen, if we were to search for storm damaged roof needs replacing Jacksonville, Alabama, a link pops up. And the important thing about this is it's not only a link to the Hinkle Roofing website, and you can see there where the GeoJuice description is picked up. Google has seen that. But Google is very frugal about how to visually call out a particular link. And on this Hinkle Roofing link, we've got the multiple stars because Google saw the review ratings. And so that visual boost makes that Hinkle Roofing link stand out more than the others. And then I've highlighted up at the top a Google advertisement where, again, visually Google will give a little bit of a visual boost to a paid link up at the top, and GeoJuice generated link down below for Hinkle Roofing visually bumped up with the star rating. And then back on the website, here's what that looks like. So again, the GeoJuice map is physically on the Hinkle Roofing website. There's the layout below the map, which now combines check-ins along with any GeoJuice-based reviews. And again, any other reviews that were on Google, on Facebook, that's fantastic. We want to see that as well. And this is the ultimate goal. So I'm going to pause here for a minute before Jeff and I turn into one of the other really important aspects of GeoJuice in terms of how it helps the business. But as you're digesting this presentation and the information, we're available to talk more and look at your specific situation. We've got some contact information up on screen, and Stephen is going to push a poll question out to you as well, where you can also just simply click that button that yes, you're interested for any of those options. If you'd like a visibility checkup where we'll kind of look under the hood of your business from a visibility standpoint, see how it's doing, and give you any pointers. And then also, if you'd like a copy of the presentation, let us know. We'd be happy to share that with you. So we'll leave this up for just a couple more seconds, and then Jeff and I will talk about scalability and the importance of scalability. The role that GeoJuice plays in helping your business scale in terms of helping just your website and the content creation scale. So give it a little bit more. All right, so the scalability topic was interesting as Jeff and I were preparing for the presentation, because when I think of GeoJuice and scalability, we also produce blog content. So we're constantly adding new content to our customer websites through blogs, and we do that, 2 blogs a month, 4 blogs a month. It depends on the level of service that you have through us, but that's one way to kind of get that website to continue to grow. And as you've seen through GeoJuice, it's just another way to also easily scale your ability to create content, whether it's one person using it at your location or whether it's 7, like the Hinkle team is using. And if Jeff, if I could ask you to jump back in here and speak to this scalability topic as well and how it's helping Hinkle grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And scalability to me with GeoJuice means that as our company grows, so does our online footprint. And so, we're already obviously enrolled in the program and active users of the program. So if we sell more work or if we see more houses, if we have more requests, we're more active online. If we add a new team member that's also GeoJuicing, then we're more active online. And so GeoJuice grows with us without requiring anything else from us other than staying in our habits and staying on our routine. We're getting the footprint online that we want just by introducing it and continuing to do it and to let it be a part of the growth of our company. And so any new guys that we have coming out, they get trained on how to use this, and it's a very important part of the training. And so GeoJuice grows with us, and the bigger we get, the more transactions we have, the bigger our online footprint's going to be, and that's a really, really neat feature of the GeoJuice software.
Thanks, Jeff. And so as we transition into some other things, I think you spoke about this, but this is taken from the basic training that we do in terms of, okay, once we get somebody started with GeoJuice, the basic formula for crafting a good GeoJuice check-in is, what's the problem and how did I solve it? And Jeff, if you wouldn't mind just kind of describing how you went through the phases of the project, but give an example of where you're kind of crafting a well-formed check-in.
Sure. Well, obviously we have different guys in different capacities, and so we have project managers that are on site during the construction, and they'll describe in detail what it is that's being done. So they may say something like removing old 3-tab asphalt, roofing shingle, installing new GAF Timberline HD weathered wood shingle. And so the project manager's description is going to be in detail, and as I said before, he will call out specific products, specific labor techniques or features of the home in his description of the post. And with the jobs that I'm looking at, most of these are slate and cedar. I'll call out the quarry, the color, everything like that. And so when we have this activity online, and when we're putting pictures different places, when GeoJuice places all of this, we have descriptions in all sorts of places. We're very, very visible and can be seen, and so it's really important to get past kind of the generic post. And it doesn't have to be 3 paragraphs, but just getting descriptive is very beneficial.
So I'm sorry, I was just going to say that this slide just shows some examples of check-ins that we use in our training, and similar to what Jeff has been describing. And we've gotten a lot of questions that have come in, so I'm going to pause here and ask Stephen to let us know what's come in, and we'll start fielding your questions.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of questions so far, so I'm going to pick out some of the more poignant ones. We have Megan here who asks, how many social media platforms can we auto-share to? You had mentioned Facebook and Twitter.
So automatically it's Facebook and Twitter, but there are other ways where it's not automated, but you can get that check-in pushed out to other common social sites, LinkedIn, Pinterest, so on.
All right. Kelly asks, what's it like using GeoJuice in the field? Jeff Baker, that might be a better question for you.
Yeah, it's seamless. I mean, like I said, we've integrated it into our process, and so even we have a couple of estimators that are older and don't have quite as good a grasp on the technological side of smartphones and so on, and we've all been able to pick this up and run with it, and it integrates really well. It's a seamless part of what we're doing, and so there's not a lot of extra effort on it. Like I said, at the end of the day, sometimes it prompts discussions in our office, and so it just kind of feels like a part of our business. That's the best way I can describe how it feels in the field.
Excellent. All right. Olivia asks, how many members of my crew can use it at the same time?
And I can answer that one also. That we have our business hours are obviously 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. and so all 7 of our guys are using it at the exact same time all day, every day, as far as the posting goes.
Yeah, and so technically, I was just going to add, there's really no limit. As big as your team is, and the other thing I'll let you know that some of my clients, yes, they've got people out in the field that are using it, but they've also got somebody centralized back at the office that is also doing check-ins from a computer, and that's another way to use GeoJuice.
All right, I'm going to pick one more question here before we wrap it up today. Alex would like to know, can you go back and edit a GeoJuice check-in after they've already been published?
So yes, the answer is definitely yes, it's something again that's within the GeoJuice user's capability, not from the smartphone device, but if you go log in on your computer, go back to that check-in, you can edit the check-in, and then it's also possible to delete the check-in if need be. And I think that covers anything. If there's anything we didn't cover on the call today, if you've got more questions, we're available. Up on screen is our contact information, and as mentioned before, we'd be happy to go into deeper detail, whether it's about GeoJuice, whether it's about a visibility checkup, and so. Thank you very much for your time today. And
Jeff, there was one thing that I thought you could address. You might have done it, but how does privacy and geotagging work? I mean, there were some people concerned about homeowners' privacy. Do you mind addressing that?
Sure. So it's similar to what Jeff was talking about from a competitive aspect, meaning, yeah, got to be sensitive to giving away too much, but from a privacy standpoint, same thing. And what GeoJuice does from a privacy standpoint is that it does not display where you are or the specific address of the project. It says near, so near, street address, town name, state, and then the other way is to address the privacy concern is, again, I think Jeff made a good point where it's not so much that you're taking a picture from the street of the house that you're working on, but rather it's a close-up of the shingles that may be deteriorating or the flashing that needs to be replaced. And from that standpoint, you're really showing a close-up of what the problem is, and then describing how you're going to fix it and can avoid any privacy concerns that way.
Yeah, another very interesting question from Amber, and I think a lot of people in our audience will have this question is, a lot of companies already have other marketing companies probably doing SEO, SEM. Do you see any conflict at all? I did answer the question saying, hey, this is actually a great tool that is on top of everything else that you do, especially with the reviews and the ability to add geolocation. Any comments on that?
Well, I think it's going back to that big topic of, where am I spending my time? How best am I spending my time, and how do I understand that it's really working for me? That's the way to look at it, whether it's from an SEO standpoint, whether it's from where to spend ad dollars. It's partnering with the right people to make sure you're on the right path and doing what's best for your online visibility and that digital footprint of yours.
And furthermore, there's no cheaper or more effective way to get reviews than GeoJuice. I mean, anybody else selling that service, you could probably just go ahead and cancel that and use this in lieu of that.
Yeah, I mean, just for the audience, if you haven't answered the poll question, you can still put your email address into the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to just walk you through and see if this fits your business or not. And hey, Jeff, thank you very much. And Jeff, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule at Hinkle Roofing, Alabama, to come on the webinar and explain how you're using GeoJuice.
Yeah,
thank you
very much. Yeah, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, everyone, for attending. That concludes today's webinar. Have a great day.